Hello, good morning. Welcome to the Create Your Wealth Master Plan webinar. My name is Tale Alimi. I am co-founder and CEO of OAFAR. We are the owners of Rouzo. And so Rouzo is presenting this webinar. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So in case you're catching the replay, welcome. Basically, decided to start on time. Like I said, I gave 5 minutes for a few more people to join up, but I'm just going to go ahead and start recording the webinar. So if you come late, you definitely be able to rewatch it. And yeah, so welcome to Create Your Wealth Master Plan webinar. Okay. Now, a bit about me and my wealth creation journey. I started my first business at 9, selling sweets to my classmates. And I think I grew my savings to about 60 naira. I'm estimating now because I don't know, it might have been more or less, but that's the figure that came to my mind. And I gave it to my uncle to save for me because in those days, hey, as a small child, I didn't have a bank account. And I don't even think the banks in those days had those children's savings accounts. So my uncle was supposed to be like my savings account, but then he ended up spending the money, and yeah, so there went my my little savings. Okay, and that was the end of my business career. Okay, not quite. Anyway, so afterwards, I mean, when I got to university, I started some other businesses and movements. I remember starting the makeup business. I used to travel and buy makeup and sell it to my other girls in school. And then I used to do some empowerment seminars and conferences. And, I was just always, entrepreneurial, doing one thing or the other. But the truth is that my focus was really not on making money as it was on empowering people and making an impact. So I remember that I was kind of disciplined, as an accountant. I saved I think 50% of my allowance all through university. And then in my final year and final semester, I spent it all on the Women's Empowerment Conference. The end, like really, well, not quite. And then I went on to start 3 more businesses, so I mean, first of all, of course, I said a makeup business, a beauty business. Then when I was doing my MBA, then I started a fashion business, and then I started my coaching, business coaching practice, and then now I'm the CEO of Wafara. So I mean, through my business journey, I was more focused on making impact, and then made some money. So yeah, that really was my focus and everything. But good enough, so I saved a lot of money and I gave out a lot of money, and then I woke up one day. I can remember that day, and I decided I was going to do both. I said, you know what? Why can't I make money and make an impact? Why am I going through this circle where I'm making money and just giving it out, and then at the end of the day, my bank account, my emotional account is full, my spiritual account is full, my bank account is like, what the heaven is happening? So really, that was my journey, and I am still on this journey, and that's why I guess I'm passionate about wealth creation and through our Rouzo platform, and I also want to share what I've learned through this journey with you today. Okay, so why you need a wealth master plan? Okay. Now, I mean, I don't know. I'm sure you've seen this image. It's been agog. The internet has been agog with it, with Otedola buying his daughter's Ferraris. And I said, if your father is not Otedola, create your own wealth master plan. That's on a lighter note. On a serious note, research has shown that what we focus our mind on, research has shown that what we focus our mind on becomes our reality. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Whatever you focus your mind on becomes your reality. So if you don't focus on wealth creation and being intentional about it, it becomes your reality. So for many years, I focused on making an impact and not enough on creating wealth. And yeah, so I had a very solid, emotional, fulfilling life, but my bank account was not saying the same thing. So really, what you focus on becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. if you don't focus on creating wealth, and then if you're growing in environments and people are telling you money is not everything. Yes, money is not everything, but then money is important. In fact, the Bible says money answers all things. So you might not be everything, but it does answer all things material, if you know what I mean. So yeah, so you need to focus on it. Okay. And yeah. Then on a serious note, so why do you need a wealth master plan? Okay. The first thing is a plan helps you to begin with an end in mind. You know your why. Okay. Now, somebody says, I saw a quote that money is a shallow motivator. Okay. So what does that mean? It means that some people are pursuing money. I just want to make more money. And then they're making the money and then they feel unfulfilled. Or some people are pursuing making money and they feel, gosh, why is it so hard? And they want to give up. Or some people might have been like me, pursuing my purpose, being excited, but the bank account wasn't showing. So if you have a plan, it helps you start with know your why. So for example, my why for building wealth is really because I believe that if I build wealth, I can increase my capacity to impact the lives of people. Okay. If I build wealth, I can increase my capacity to impact the lives of people. I have a project I'm working on for next year. I want to give 40 single moms and female breadwinners capital for their business. Okay. For me to be able to do that project's going to be in the millions. Okay. Millions of naira because I'm in Nigeria. Okay. Hundreds of thousands of dollars if you're, so yeah. So that project is going to cost money. So even though I'm doing it because I want to give back and make an impact, because that's what gives me a lot of joy. I need to build wealth to make those kind of things happen. So my why for building wealth is to increase my impact, okay? Is to share it with love to the people I love, and then it's to live a good life, So when you have a plan, you can actually say what your why is, and that's going to motivate you to keep building. So when you know your why, you can decide your what's, okay? What are you going to do, and what are you willing to do to create wealth? Okay, so for example, I always have a rule of thumb. Whatever I do in terms of my wealth creation activity, for example, this webinar, Rouzo, it's for a technology platform. Okay, a lot of people have technology platforms that do investing, savings, and all sort of things like that. They don't necessarily want to do a webinar to help other people create wealth. But why am I doing this? Because I'm the kind of person that has decided that whatever I do in terms of business and everything must be something that I can still find ways to impact people. So I always tie my what to my why. Okay, so I make sure that what I'm going to do to create wealth must be something that is also impacting people one way or the other. So that's my rule of thumb. So when you know your why, you have to decide your what. What are you willing to do to create wealth? Okay, some people will say, I'm great at supporting other people to build their businesses. I'm an entrepreneur, so I work very good in organization. I like structure. Some people will say, you know what, I have a gift, I have a talent, I want to explore. Some people say, you know what, I want to earn money and invest in other people's ventures or whatever it is. But at least when you actually document a plan, you're very clear about what your what will be. Okay. Then you're able to determine your how you're going to go about it, and decide your timelines and overall life choices to enable you achieve it. Okay, so what is your how? How are you going to go about doing it? And again, why timelines are important is because, so many people are on other people's treadmills. You want to be like another person, but you really don't know what's happening behind the scenes of that person's life. And some people, because they have a very short timeline, I want to be rich in 2 years and everything, they will sacrifice every other part of their lives to achieve that goal. I believe nothing is impossible. Okay, I just think that are you willing to pay the price for whatever you want? So nothing is impossible, but are you willing to pay the price for the things that you want? So, and that's why you need to know your how. Okay, some people will say, you know what, in the startup world where our technology company exists, they literally tell you that for 5 to 7 years, you have no life. You're literally building a company. You're 100% focused on it, and your social life will suffer, your blah, blah life will suffer and all that. But I am choosing to do it differently, which is why I always tie whatever I do to impact. because that helps me to stay grounded as to what it is that drives me. So, but you need to know your how. What are your timelines? Okay, so if you know that, for example, I want to build wealth, but I want to build wealth, I still have time for my family, time for my social life, time for fitness, or whatever it is that motivates you, it then helps you to kind of manage your timeline, okay? Because, for example, somebody who is giving 100% a day is different from somebody who is giving 40% a day because they're making time for other things, you know? So that's basically why you need to know your how. What are you going to do? What level of intensity are you going to give to your wealth building goals, okay? Now, so what are we going to learn today? For those of you who are live or watching the replay, we're going to learn how wealthy do you want to be, okay? Because that's the first thing. They say, if you want to go somewhere, you want to know where you want to go. What does wealth mean to you? How wealthy do you want to be, okay? And then you have to decide your pathway to wealth. I'm going to share various pathways to wealth, and then you decide yours. You're going to decide what it costs, what it will take, timelines and timings, like I earlier mentioned. And then I'm going to share some what I call wealth multiplication vehicles, all right? And I'm going to share about how you can start with our platform, Rouzo. So that's what today is going to be about. So it's going to be insightful, it's going to be chock filled with wisdom and insight, and basically it's going to help you set you on that path immediately to creating your wealth plan and getting on that journey to create the life you desire. So that's what we're in for today. Okay. So a question I want to ask is, how wealthy do you want to be and why? How wealthy do you want to be and why? Now, I have a simple calculation that I always encourage people to do anytime I do these webinars, which is to calculate your dream net worth. You know, like, how much do you want to be worth, really? Okay. And a simple, and like I said, it's simplistic because there's so many variables like inflation, standard of living changes, all sort of things changes, but a simplistic way to look at it is to calculate the amount of money you want to live on monthly and you multiply that by 12. So for example, let's say in your dream life, you want to have a cook, you know, want to have a gardener, you want to go to the spa once a week, or even have a personal, your own personal masseuse comes to the house and massage your body, you know, you want to be part of a club, maybe a tennis club or a swimming club or whatever it is. So that's your dream life, okay? Whatever the cost that life is. So you want to put a figure to it, okay? You want to eat a certain type of organic food. You don't like to eat the normal food, you know, in your dream life. That's your real life. You know, so you're just going to calculate all that, okay? And decide what your dream monthly revenues will be, all right? And then you're going to multiply that by 12. Okay, so for example, if it was 1 million naira or $1 million or wherever you're, whatever currency you use, wherever you are, you multiply it by 12 and you divide it by 0.1, okay, that should be your dream net worth. So in this, my summation, I got 120 million naira. Okay, so for example, if you wanted to live this sort of dream life, that means you have a net worth of 120 million naira. Your net worth is your assets less your liabilities, okay? So it's not, I have 10 million in my account, but I'm owing 12 million. That's a negative net worth. You know, so that is your net worth. That's what it should be. So you should calculate that at least so you have an idea of what are you working towards, okay? What does wealth mean to you, okay? And how would you know when you've achieved it? This simple maths will sort of give you an idea. Even if it's simplistic, at least it's a good place to start from, okay? Now, another question I think we should ask ourselves is, do you want to look wealthy or do you want to be wealthy, okay? And it's a very important question because some people, if you look deep down, you just want to look wealthy. You want to look like you have the Ferrari, like Otedola's daughters. You want to look like, you know, you have it going on. And you don't really, so it's like, do you want to look the part or do you want to be the part? I remember a story I heard a few years ago about this guy who met maybe someone who's a summer schoolmate, and he met him, let me just say a car wash, random, you know, and he was driving a Mercedes, and this guy was driving, let's say a Toyota Corolla and all that. And so he was living in maybe like Banana Island, and I'm just making this up, you know. And so he said, I'm living in Banana Island, something. So invited the guy over, and him and his wife are just shaking their head for the guy, like, oh girl, see this guy, how poor. So the guy said, okay, let me reciprocate and invite you back to my own house. So the guy invited them the next week to his own house in an estate in Ikeja. And as they were driving into the Ikeja, no pun intended about island mainland argument, so this is not what it's about. It's just about an example. As they were driving into that estate in Ikeja, on the estate gate, the estate was named after the man. They were puzzled. Oh, okay, really? And they went into the house. The man had a very nice but modest looking house, and they were like, wow, okay, interesting and all that. And they sat down and talked to the man, and so the man was like, oh, so what do you guys do? So the guy was boasted, oh, I'm a GM in ABC company. And the guy said, oh, interesting, that's one of the companies I own. And the other guy driving the Mercedes was shocked. So apparently this other guy who doesn't look wealthy actually was one of the shareholders in his company. So more or less, this guy who was driving a Toyota Corolla was actually his oga, in quotes, but he was living the life. He looked wealthy, but this guy was really, really wealthy. So you have to ask yourself, do I want to look wealthy or do I want to be wealthy? And it's a very important question, because if you sit back and ask yourself that question, then you now understand why all those billionaires, like we hear, like Warren Buffett, live in the same house. Because for them, it's not about the look. It's really about being wealthy. So you need to decide what you really want for yourself, okay? Now, so let's go to the pathway to wealth. So this is me assuming that you've done that, you've looked at it, you've decided, okay, you know what? What's important to me is not about looking wealthy. So, or what's important to me is about looking wealthy. So I just want everybody to see me and say, ah, you see that girl, see her Chanel bag, her whatever car, whatever. Or do you want to be that girl that when it's time to pay the bills, that man that when it's time to pay the cost to be the boss, you have it in your account, so you need to decide that. So how would you attend that? So now I looked at a survey done by Business Insider, okay? In this survey, okay, it shows a chart of how people who are wealthy created their wealth, all right? Now, if you look at this chart, 13% of people on this chart are successful, have a successful sales career, or are top experts in their field. Okay, so imagine a top astronaut or a top footballer or a top, just top experts in their field. So those are how 13% of people created their wealth. All right. Now, 70% of people created their wealth because they were high earners in a big company. Okay, so for example, if you're a high earner in a multinational, so you are the MD of ExxonMobil, for example, or you are the MD of Microsoft and everything. So those things literally come with wealth, because at that level, you probably have shares in the company and everything. So you're probably, so the MD of Microsoft is a billionaire just because he's the MD of Microsoft. So, things like that. So they're high earners in the company, but that makes up just 17%. Now, this is what I find interesting. 49% of wealthy people who have built wealth, actually built wealth. Okay, so what does that mean? It means that nobody gave them the money, they're not top earners in any company, they're not top experts, whatever. They actually built wealth. They're what they call saver investors. Meaning that they took their monies from whatever they're doing, either their self-employment or their careers, mid-level careers, low-level careers, whatever it is, and they saved their money and they invested it and they built wealth. So they didn't take any elevator. They climbed the stairs of building wealth. 49%. Wow. Okay. And then another 21% are entrepreneurs and financial risk takers. So people who started a business, the Zucks of this world and the rest of them became billionaires, and we hear their stories every time. So that's just 21%. Okay, so I like this chart because it shows that whatever pathway you choose in life, there is still a way to build wealth. Okay, you can be a top expert in your industry if you can aspire to that. You can be a big earner in a high earner in a big company. You can become an entrepreneur and take big financial risk and win big. Or you can just do it the literally slow and steady way and just save and invest and plan, which makes up 49% of the wealthy people in the world. Wow, I don't know about you, but that's like amazing. Okay, so of course I wrote other pathways to wealth. You can marry wealthy. So marry a rich guy now, you become, marry wealthy, inherit wealth, or win the lottery. It's just that I hear that most lottery winners never keep the money, so they never actually wealthy. They spend it within 5 years. So I don't even know if that's a pathway to wealth. But then some people continue to play lottery and hoping to win. Okay. Now, so once you've decided what your pathway to wealth is, okay, which is part of your what, how you're going to go about how you're going to go about building wealth, you need to know what I call the cost of building wealth. All right, what is it going to cost? Because there's a cost for everything, and in fact, the Bible says that would you build the house, start first counting the cost? Okay, and I feel like this is the most important part of it, because some people say I want to be wealthy, all right, but they don't know what it will cost, and that's why they're willing to do anything, to just build wealth, because they just want to have the feeling of I'm wealthy. But if you sit down in creating your wealth master plan and you count the cost, you count the cost, okay, you most likely know what it will take, and you can be more, patient or committed to the journey, if I want to use the word. Okay. Now, let me tell you something. Time is one of the costs. 90% of billionaires in the Forbes list are over 45. Now, we don't want to hear this. So we want to hear about all those people that are singing and rapping, showing their Rolls Royce, their Ferrari, all those girls that seem to be carrying expensive bags. But truthfully, 95% of billionaires are over 45. So that means that wealth takes time to build, wealth. Okay, not stealing, not anything. Wealth takes time to build. And the average billionaire age is 63. Did you hear that? The average billionaire age is what? 63. Wow. So building wealth takes time and patience. And I think that if we all just get that, it will help us just chill, relax. All that giddy, 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 giddy. I'm not saying that you shouldn't desire it. I'm just saying that that realization should give you some sort of like respite. Like, okay, this is it, right? So and then to make you calm and then be able to work that plan, whatever it is you decide to take, you want to do. The second important factor is knowledge. 2/3 of billionaires on the Forbes list have a college education. The remaining invested time learning a specialized skill or learning by creating a business. Okay, so knowledge is extremely important. Okay, really the difference between the wealthy and the people who are not wealthy is that they know something that those other people don't know. Okay, and they're doing something about it. Okay, because sometimes people know a lot, but they don't do anything about it. So knowledge is really, really very important. So if you see all those tech billionaires and you go to their backstory, you will hear that they spent years, maybe since they were 10 or 11, right, learning how to code, writing code, breaking something, building something, blah, blah, blah. And then they paid their 10,000 hours learning. Okay, I don't know if you heard about the rule of 10,000 hour rule by Malcolm Gladwell. They paid the price. And because they paid the price, they have the knowledge to build wealth. So it also costs you knowledge. So I hear people say, man, I don't like reading. I don't like doing anything, So you might have a different way of learning, but you need to keep learning if you want to build wealth. Extremely important. The third thing is vision. Okay, no billionaire starts out to be mildly successful. No, I don't know about you, but I remember when we started our company and we participated in an accelerator program. We participated in an accelerator program early in the year when we started our company, and somebody asked me, so what do you guys build? I said, we're building $1 billion company. And it was like, $1 billion? I said, yes, we're building $1 billion company, because the truth is, no billionaire starts out to be madly successful, okay? It all starts with a big vision, like literally. So if you want to be wealthy, you have to have a big vision. It's what it is, So, and I find out that in this environment, I mean Nigeria, where I'm living right now, people struggle with a big vision because it's like, let's be realistic. This environment is, but the truth of the matter is that's what you believe that you attract, I think it was Henry Ford that said, if you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, then you can't. So really, you have to have a big vision. So you can't stumble into being a billionaire. You can't stumble into being wealthy. You have to have a big vision to create something life-changing or to make big money. Okay, so if you had, maybe you had parents like mine that said, well, it was not about making money. That's why they are not wealthy. Let's be sincere. That's why they are not $10. Let's be sincere. Because it was not about making money. They just wanted to be okay, So everyone who's became a billionaire didn't set out to be wildly successful. That's the truth. They might not have put a figure on their billions, but they set out a wildly successful. So that vision part of it, you have to have it, because you cannot attract what you do not desire. Really, you cannot become what you do not create internally. So those things are non-negotiables. Your vision is non-negotiable. The fourth part of it is risk. average successful entrepreneur has at least one failed business before they succeeded. You know, things that if you have a middle class upbringing like me, that has been a struggle is taking risks. Like, I don't want to take risks. You know, if I take, what if I fail, you know, and everything. And I hear people tell me that my greatest fear is the fear of failure. I don't want to fail. But the truth is that if you learn that most people who succeeded, you know, took risks, you need to take calculated risks. And that's the truth. I mean, for me, as somebody who's a Christian, I feel like, man, I'm taking those risks by God's grace, you know, but I'm going to, but you have to take risks if you want to build wealth. You have to take calculated risks. You have to make some investments that, I mean, not haphazard risks, calculated risks. You have to make some investment that you've done your part to do your own due diligence, but you don't know it to the end. You have to take some risks. And sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But then if you stick to it, okay, you then learn how to win better. And that's how you're going to build wealth. But then if you say, I don't take any risks, because believe me, you won't get any reward. Because I hear some people say, me, I'm not a risk taker. Me, I can't take risk. Oh. But then that's, how do you want to build wealth if you don't want to take risks? Because the concept of even deciding to build wealth is a risky concept, okay? The concept of deciding that this is what you want is a risky concept. So you can't say you want to build wealth and you don't want to take risks. Do you see what I mean? So there has to be some sort of balance to that, okay? So these are like the 4 costs of building wealth that you need to think about. Number 1, time. It takes time to build wealth. Number 2, knowledge. Number 3, vision. Number 4, risk. So just 4 very important factors. Okay. Then the next thing is what I call timelines and timing. So if you're coming late, so you're watching the replay, I'm sure you saw I talked about timing in the beginning. So timelines and timing. So I want to share the 6 stages of wealth. Okay. So stage 1 is, and I want you to also look at these stages critically and decide what stage am I right now? Are you on stage 1 or are you on mama, I made it, stage 6, you know? So stage 1 is scrapping by. You know, at that stage, you're like, man, just like, let me eat, like just something to eat. And at this stage, you focus on you create security and stability. That's what you're looking for in stage 1. Maybe that's when people are getting their first jobs or starting their first small business. You just want to get some financial security and stability. So that's stage 1. They're just scraping by. Stage 2 is no more ramen. So ramen is like Indomie noodles in Nigeria. So like you can't afford to eat anything else apart from Indomie noodles. You know, I remember my sister many years ago. I think she didn't have a job, and for 3 months straight, she was eating only Indomie noodles. I remember when she got another job. I remember the malam who used to buy the noodles for her. I said, thank God, oh, madam, you're stopping eating Indomie noodles. So something like that. So at that stage, yeah, at least income is coming in now. Okay, maybe you get your first job, or at least your business is starting making something, so you can begin to afford to eat some, you know, eat better. You know what I mean? And that's why you begin to focus on building what they call a rainy day fund. Okay, you're having something, you're putting something aside. Okay, at this stage you start to save. All right, and at this stage, what I always advise is, at stage 2, you have to form the discipline of saving. And now it's not about how much you're making, it's about the discipline. So if you can't save 10 naira out of 100 naira, you can't save 10 million out of 100 million. You can't, because you know you haven't formed the habit. So at that stage where you begin to form the habit of putting something aside from whatever your source of income is, okay? And stage 3 is what I call money in the bank. Now at this stage, you know, your focus is on growing the cash flow. So now at least you're putting things aside. You're seeing money at the end of the month, and then it's growing small. It's not yet billionaire yet, so but at least it's growing small, and all that stuff. So at this stage, you focus on growing your cash reserves and planning your investment strategy. That's that stage. You know, I feel like that's the stage I am right now, and all that. Then stage 4, which is the stage I'm entering. And if you're already stage 4, well done. At this stage, you know, you say, what do I do with all this money? And I got money coming in, like left, right, front, back, you know, what do I do with all this money? So maybe at that point, your business is really doing well, you have a good job and everything. So at this point, you have to now continue to focus on investing your money, because you only save to invest. That's why, for example, on the Rouzo platform, we have something we call save to invest, which is you're putting money aside every month. You create a savings plan, and they're saving so that it will get to a certain amount, and then you can transfer that amount and invest in something that will give you a higher return on investment. So at this stage, you want to grow your cash reserve. Okay, at this stage, you're looking at investment strategies, and I'm going to share how you should look at it in in the slides to come. So stage 4, focus. You begin investing your cash, generating more cash. Stage 5, you optimize your investments and create a strategy to reinvest cash profit. So at this stage, you're investing maybe in short-term vehicles, you're getting rewards, and you're reinvesting. So you're building that cumulative return. And stage 6, you create long-term security. And, I'm going to share what that looks like to you. So a few questions you want to answer is, what stage are you right now? And how long will you stay on each stage? Okay. So some people, stage 1, they stay on it 1 year, 2 years. Some people 5 years, some people 10 years. Like, everybody has his own journey, but so you want to know, what stage are you right now? How long you're going to stay on each stage? What do you need to do to move up the stages at certain timelines and durations? So do you need to get more knowledge? Do you take more risks? What do you need to do to get along the stage? So you need to know what it is when you determine what stage you are. Then the 4th thing is, what do you need to give up? So for example, let me give you an example. You might need to give up watching TV. Let me tell you a story of something I did. Now, I know I might be extreme, and I know, but I remember when I started my coaching practice in 2015, and I said, you know what, I can't afford to take years to succeed. I need to succeed very quickly. I need to get my 10,000 hours of work in very quickly. So what do? I cut off TV. I said, I'm going to stop watching TV. I'm going to use the time that I'll normally use to watch TV to learn, to read, to write content, to research, to find clients, to prospect. And I put all my attention to that, and I gave up TV. And it paid off, because by the 2nd year, I was already featuring in a lot of major newspapers in Nigeria. I was already going on TV. So I gave it that focus. So there's nothing that's accidental. When you see some people having some measure of success, it wasn't accidental. They decided to give up something. So I gave up TV, and even till today, it's very hard for me to watch TV. Okay, let me confess, I don't watch TV again. I don't. People keep asking me, don't you know Rouzo in Big Brother or Nengi? And I'm like, who are those people? I don't, yeah. And then I just try to catch up and read blogs just so that I won't be such a cave woman, if there's anything like that. So yeah, I personally had to give up TV to be able to decide to achieve my goal. So this is what you want to ask yourself. What stage you are, how long you stay in each stage, what do you need to do to move up the stages? For me, I said I needed to put my 10,000 hours, and I gave up TV. So what do you need to give up? Or maybe you don't need to give up anything, but you just need to become more focused or be more consistent, but you need to decide what it is and be intentional about it, okay? Yeah, so the next thing I think we want to talk about is income sources, because to build wealth, you need to have an income source. At least you need to know what is that your first type of income that will become the bedrock for building wealth. Okay, so there are 2 different types of income sources. There's the active and there's the passive. I've shared a lot about this in my past webinars. So if you've not watched it, I'll share the link with you guys on my email, the link to our Oafara YouTube channel. I have a few other videos I've done in past webinars I did in May, I think in May and in June. But then active and passive income. So you need to decide, what is that income that becomes the bedrock for building wealth for you? So is it self-employment or is it paid employment? Okay, so you need to decide what that is. And because that income now serves as the vehicle, as the raw material, if I wanted to use the word, to create your passive income, all right? So active income, you have to work for it. Passive income is money you earn without active involvement, okay? So for example now, if you invested in our platform, Rouzo, and you invested in a portfolio, for example, a working capital portfolio, you invest 1 million. We say we'll give you 30% at the end of the year. That means that at the end of the year, without you having to do anything, just by putting your money, okay, with us, you're going to earn 150,000 naira. So you see that thing, you didn't do anything active. You just put your money to work for you, okay, and by investing it, you got a return on investment. Whilst for your job or your self-employment, you have to put time, you have to put effort, you have to, and then so it has a high effort to reward ratio, but a low upfront investment. So to go to work every day, you probably just have to wake up and carry yourself, or wake up and go to your laptop. Depends on how you work right now in this COVID-19 era that has passed. Yeah, but then passive income, your money works for you. So it's low effort to reward ratio, but you have to have the money that will work for you. Okay, so you need to decide going forward in creating your wealth plan. What are my active income sources and what were my passive income sources? So that's how you build wealth. It has to be clear. My active income sources are 1, 2, 3. My passive income sources are 1, 2, 3. Okay. So for example, personally, active income sources, I am the co-founder and CEO of OFR. So that's one active income source for me. Number 2, I still do a bit of business coaching. Last 1 year building OFR, I've not been able to do it actively. But I'm going to do it again. So you just need to know, what are your active sources? What are your passive sources? Passive income can be business owner. So you invested in a company and other people are running it for you, and it's making money. Or you invest in a platform, in stocks, in bonds, in alternative financial platforms, in real estate. So those are passive income sources. So those are like ways that you can make money. Now, what I call wealth multiplication vehicle. So this is now taking that you've established your active income source. This is now taking that money and what you want to do with it. Now, the first thing you will do if you looked at that stages of wealth is, number 1, you have to save a certain percent of your income. So you have to save consistently. Okay, this is not compromisable. Every month you have to save consistently. You have to save a certain amount of money consistently monthly, because that gives you the, can I use the word capital, to be able to invest in your future. So you can decide to save at least 10% of your income every month. If you can save more than that, if you're a high earner, please do. If you can save up to 50%, please do, if you're a high earner, okay? And then the next thing you need to do for a short-term, 24 years, invest in an interest-yielding vehicle, okay? So you can invest on our platform, Rouzo.org. You can invest in other similar platforms that give you good interest yields, okay? Now, in the mid to long term, that's 2 to 10 years, okay? You want to ensure that in securing your wealth, you have insurance, okay? So maybe life insurance, maybe tenured insurance, and all that, that gives you, all your loved ones, something to fall back on. The second thing is stock market. The stock market is not a short-term investment, okay? I started my career early in asset management, and I can tell you for free that the stock market is not a short-term investment, because I remember then when people were trying to play the markets, okay? And in trying to play the markets, they ended up losing. So the best thing for the stock market is have a long-term view, buy good stocks, hold it for a good time, get capital appreciation, and get dividends. So that's the best way to play the stock market. The third thing is real estate. By the grace of God, as long as there are no wars or whatever, real estate usually appreciates. So it's a long-term investment, okay? And it's something you can leave as an inheritance to your children and your children's children and things like that. The fourth thing is venture capital. This is something that's not very popular in Nigeria, but in the startup world, it's really, really popular. So what that means is you built your wealth, you've had extra cash, you can take some risk, Remember when we talked about building wealth, take risk. Find startup businesses and give them capital that with high growth potential. You might be surprised that your money can become 5x or 10x. So for example, a few of my friends, our friends, so the co-founders invested in our business, OFR, and between the time they invested last year and this year, I think that our valuation has doubled, So their monies have increased, because they've invested. That's what they call venture capital. So they took a risk on somebody else's business or dream that has a high growth potential, and their valuation has doubled. Okay, so if they put 1 million naira, it's now worth 2 million naira, for example. That's like an example of venture capital. And some of them, if they stay on for a long time, that 1 million naira can be worth 10 million naira, maybe in like 5 years. So that's like from a longer term investment. Now, another thing is own business, which is that you can decide to start your own business. You saw the market opportunity, you saw something that, can add value to you. Start your business, and then you can literally actually create wealth by yourself. So that's another option. Okay, so these are some wealth multiplication vehicles. So when you're creating your plan, okay, and you've decided your why, your what, your how, then you need to decide your active income, your passive income sources, and then decide which of them are short-term, which of them are mid to long-term, okay, and how you're going to invest in them consistently. So what I'm taking you through now are the various aspects that your plan should have, okay? So what I'm going to do for those of you who I have your email addresses, I'm going to send you the slides. so that you can actually sit down with the slides and actually then begin to create this aspect of it. Now, to bring it all together, so you want to pull your plan together, okay? The first thing, like we started, is define your wealth goal. How much you want to be what and why. Why is extremely important. You know why? Because when you're impatient, when you're tired, when anything's happening, your why is going to keep you motivated. So how much you want to be what and why, extremely important. Then you decide your wealth pathway, okay? How would you build wealth? What pathways will you use? And what are your timelines, okay? Remember everything we covered. How would you build wealth? What are your pathways? And what are your timelines, okay? Yeah, so okay, someone says, are we getting the recording? Yes, you will get the recording. If I have your email, I will send you a link to the recording. I will. Okay, so if you're watching on our YouTube page, sorry, I don't know what to do. Or you can drop your email on YouTube and then we'll send it to you. So, but yes, for people who still sign up for this webinar, you will get the recording. Okay, what are your timelines? So the third thing is determine how you will multiply and preserve wealth. Okay, what wealth multiplication vehicles will you use? I already shared the last slide, the short term and then the long term, okay? And then how would you preserve your wealth? Because it'll be foolhardy for you to do all this work, create wealth, and you can't preserve it, okay? So that's why, for example, the rich set up trust funds, okay? Have some sort of vehicles that preserve wealth, so that by God's grace, your children's children will be responsible. But then what they do is, just in case, they already have like trust funds and just sort of vehicles that protect their wealth. I remember when I worked in asset management, there was this guy who had 3 wives. He was a polygamous guy, but he was very wealthy before he passed on. He set up a trust with us in such a way that we used to pay his 3 wives a salary after he died. You know, we used to pay the children's school fees. So there was no fighting. All that happened is every month they brought a bill, you know, and we paid the basics. So he made sure that education was not a problem, housing was not a problem, those basic things were not a problem, you know, but they didn't have direct access to the money when he died, so that they won't be responsible with it. Because of course, you know, you can imagine what would have happened with 3 wives. There'll have been a lot of fighting and things like that. He didn't want that to happen when he died. So he set up a trust and we helped him to execute the trust even in his death. So there has to be, when you get to that stage, just think about ways that you want to preserve your wealth. So these are like the steps to really, you know, bringing or creating that your wealth plan. Okay. Now, I want to introduce you to our platform, Rouzo, because I've mentioned it on and on and on. And so what is Rouzo? Now, Rouzo gives ordinary, everyday people, let me just say ordinary people, because no one is ordinary, but everyday people an opportunity to invest in our portfolios, okay? And you can invest from 50,000 Naira and buy a unit, and you can get between 20-30% per annum. We use these monies to finance small businesses that have good opportunities for growth, okay? And we have a whole team working to ensure that these businesses are credible. We verify them, and we have a very good payment return on investment at the moment. So it's a really good platform for you to take your active income, put on Rouzo. You can invest every month. We open our portfolios every month, so you can invest. Some people buy 10 units per month. Some people buy 1 unit per month based on your portfolio. Some people will say, you know what, I cannot invest 50,000 Naira at once, but we have what we call the save to invest part of Rouzo. So what that means is, you set up an automated savings plan. You create a Rouzo.org account. So all you need to do is go to Rouzo.org and click on investors. You create an investor account and you can start saving to invest. So you can create an investment plan. You can say, okay, I want to be saving 20,000 Naira a month for 3 months. At the end of 3 months, I can now transfer all that money and buy 1 unit in the portfolio and get a higher return. So if with the savings plan, you can get up to 15% per annum. With the investment plan, you can get up to 30% per annum. So this way, you're already beginning to build wealth. So Rouzo is a great vehicle for you to begin to use your active income to work for you. So I want you to check it out. If you don't already have a Rouzo account, please go to Rouzo account. And once you're investing in Rouzo, you're in what we call the Rouzo Wealth Builders Network. Now, this is a network of like-minded people, and what we do is that we give what we call milestone gifts. So we gave out beautiful gifts recently. We call it we call it the Rouzo Investors Rock T-shirt. So we got some. I would have taken. I would have put a picture of it here. I didn't even remember. So some of our investors who hit a certain milestone get a T-shirt, and then we're going to also continue to give them gifts and awards as it hits higher milestones and all that. So it's really cool to be part of the Rouzo World Network, because I send the Rouzo World Network members regular emails, just updating you on what we're doing, how your money is adding value, all sorts of interesting things like that. The network people get access to. So start this your wealth creation journey today. Create an account in Rouzo. This is how Rouzo works. We're going to see it in the slides when you get the slides. This is how you invest. You can save to invest, or you can invest in a portfolio like I already mentioned. Yeah, and then final thoughts. I want to share with you a few thoughts before I round up. Like I promised, this is going to be a really short and sweet webinar. I respect your time, and my intention was never to waste your time. So building wealth is simple, but it's not easy. But it is simple. Make more money than you spend and invest the difference wisely. So that's a formula for building wealth. Make more money than you spend and invest the difference wisely. That's like the formula for building wealth, okay? And then when you add time to that equation, that's how you build wealth. So like I said earlier, building wealth takes time. The average age of billionaires is 45 and above, okay? In fact, the average billionaire is 63. So it does take time to really build wealth, especially lasting wealth, okay? The second thing I want you to say, like a 10 thought I want to take away with is, wealth is the slave of a wise man, the master of a fool. Wealth is the slave of a wise man, the master of a fool. So a wise person uses wealth for their advantage. A fool is ruled by wealth. And I'm sure you've seen those kind of people in our society who wealth is ruling, So that is something you need to think about. You want to make sure that wealth is your slave, and not your master. So even in this journey to build wealth, and that's why you need to be sure of your why. Why are you doing it? What is your motivation? Okay. Then building wealth is a marathon, not a sprint. Discipline is the key ingredient. That is Dave Ramsey. Building wealth is a marathon, not a sprint. Discipline is the key ingredient. As somebody who's been a long distance runner for many years, I understand this, because a marathon takes patience, takes endurance, okay? A marathon takes staying power, okay? A marathon takes building yourself. You can't just go and start running a marathon if you've not built yourself, okay? Which is why all those key elements to building wealth are really, really important. And discipline is very important. I remember then when we used to train for marathons, we would change our diets, okay? Because you need to discipline your body to be able to take on that stress. You would have to be on a strict training routine. So it does take being intentional. It does take being disciplined to truly build wealth, okay? But what keeps you going is the motivation of why you are doing it. What is your why? What is that thing that drives you? That is what will keep you going and to be consistent on this journey. Now, I want to say I wish you well on your wealth building journey. I would like to encourage you to listen to this webinar again and again, especially if you came in late. And I want you to not only listen to it by, how am I going to put it? And take notes. So go slide by slide by slide and use it to create your wealth plan. That's what I'm going to advise you. So from one slide to another slide to another slide, use it to create your wealth plan, okay? And definitely that will set you on that path to creating wealth. Now, there's another thing I did, and I taught it in my last webinar, which you will see on our YouTube channel. I'm going to share the link, which is what I call having monthly wealth board meetings. So if you were part of the last webinar, you probably heard it. What that means is that you simply set a time on your calendar every month where you review your wealth master plan, okay? So you're going to take this plan that you just created. Every month you decide, maybe today, what's today's date? Today's 19th. You decide on the 19th of every month, I want to today do what I call a wealth board meeting where I review my wealth goals, my wealth plan, where I remind myself about my why, where I say, am I on the right path? okay? And then I reaffirm why I'm doing what I'm doing, okay? That way it keeps you focused on wealth, because where focus goes, energy flows. What you focus on is what you create, okay? So simple and short. I hope this has added value to you. I look forward to seeing your comments, telling me how this has impacted you, sharing how you've gone about creating a wealth master plan. And definitely, I wish you all the success in building wealth. And I will send you the slides and the replay if you are on the mailing list. All right. Thank you. Thank you for joining me. Thank you so much for joining me. And